looking at the whole village has been ripped off, and then there were some dead bodies and a lot of people were injured. Buildings have collapsed, and then so immediately men came, fire service from Tapa, from Pristia, some came from Marseille Propon, and we also got some military men also came to the scene to support, and then the police also came, and then we have a lot of people on the ground that were able to put the situation under control. Now the road, we have been able to create an access route, and then if you look at now, traffic is moving slowly, but we are also praying that maybe tomorrow we'll find a way of fixing the road so that the traffic can move. According to an eyewitness, it's like as if the truck was moving and it was crossed by a motorbike also, and then it hit the motorbike and then motorbike later fire. So the driver got down and then he was telling people to run away, and and some people were also trying to find out what was really happening. While the driver was shouting that people should run away, so I think it happened, and around about 10 minutes time, the whole thing exploded. So people who were trying to rush to the scene were the people who were mostly affected. And if you look at some of them were in critical condition. And as I speak to you right now, we have sent about 3 of them to Kumasi, and then some people were also referred to Tapa. And for now, we have about 17 dead bodies. But the whole place, the whole community is gone. All the roofs have been ripped off. And then if you look at some of the buildings too, they have also collapsed. And sometimes you might see some block building, they have all collapsed, and some of them were in their rooms, and then they were trapped, and they were able to rescue some of them. Some of them, unfortunately, before we rescued them, they had already gone. So, in fact, it's a very sad situation for me today. So, I've been here since afternoon up to now, and so we are still here and then assessing the situation. Yeah, this night we have created some relief center at Bogoso, because here now the whole village is gone. So, we ask those who are carrying their things that we will put them in the vehicle and then we send them to Bogoso. And some too have some friends that they feel that they are going to lodge with. And then the parish center, we have asked the mission now that they should spare us with the parish center so that we can keep them there till tomorrow morning. Then probably we'll find a place that will be more comfortable for them to stay.
Information around 1 p.m. this afternoon that there is an explosion at Apeatse in Bogoso, Pristia Valley area. And we deployed all our ambulances in the western region. Currently, we have 9 ambulances which has been dispatched to the scene. And as at now, we got here, some of us got here all the way from Takrade to Bogoso, Valley area around 4 p.m. And upon reaching the scene, we realized that most of our ambulances have deployed sent most of the cases to the nearby hospital. For example, Tapa, Bogoso Health Center, and then Wasakropon. Then at the moment, per hour ambulances, the number of cases that they have dispatched, we've sent 57 casualties to Tapa Government Hospital, Bogoso Health Center, and then Wasakropon. At the moment, we have 4 casualties who have critical condition, and Takrade ambulance, Wasakropon, and then Bogoso ambulance have dispatched them to Confounder for further treatment. As at now, I cannot confirm the number of dead bodies at the scene, but I know.
And that is the sad incident that has transpired in the Bogoso area, Apeatse to be specific. You heard Isaac Dasmani, Municipal Chief Executive for Prestia Valley, an Assistant Head of Training for the Ambulance Service in the Western Region, Prosper Ma. But let's dig deeper into what exactly led to this entire situation. Joining the conversation is Justice Baidu, my colleague, and he knows the stretch through and through. Justice, thank you for joining.
Thank you. Thank you.
Great. So you're very familiar with this stretch. Tell me, how much do you know about this stretch, and what is it now, the pictures you see? How different is it from what you know this place to be?
So Apeatse, which is in the Prestia Huni Valley municipality, also a constituency, that route is a route that is a very popular one, especially for people who live in the southern part of the western region, because that road is the road that links the southern part of the western region, which would be Sekendi, Takoradi, parts of Takwa, to the northern part of the region, which would be Sefiyoso, Bibiani, Ayamfuri, and those areas which are now most of it part of the western north region now. And so until the new regions were created about 2 years ago, this route is the only connection, the only major connection, I must say, between the southern part of the western region and the northern part of the western region. It is also the major route if you wanted to go to Kumasi, which is a major place where people who part of the western region would rather come to Kumasi to trade, because one, Kumasi provides a bigger market, and then also Kumasi seems to be closer to many of these people who grow food within the cocoa growing enclaves of the western north region, and also the northern part of the western region. And so this is a very busy route. It's a road that I mean, with the pictures that I'm seeing this morning, I can imagine the traffic that will be piling up on that route this morning. Apart from the traders and the farmers and the people who would use this regularly, this is a very big enclave for mining, artisanal mining, and industrial mining, and which is the mining company that has had this accident. It's one of the biggest mining companies operating around the BBN area, and they would usually cut their explosives and other working implements from the Takoradi port. And so I imagine these explosives would either be coming from the southern part of the western region, which will be around the Takoradi port, where a lot of these mining equipment or implements are taken away from. So this would be a major issue for people within that area.
And even before we get to the socio-economic consequences, what do you foresee to be those? Because this area basically has been razed to the ground. Buildings that were not too strong crumbling, those that were strong enough still standing but very shaky. Basically, the whole area has come to a standstill. But the point I want to make, since you're so familiar with this stretch, it has to do with whether this then would be the most direct route, right? For a vehicle heading towards Chirano.
Yes, if you are going from Takwa, Prestia, Bogoso, and you wanted to go to Kumasi, this is the road that you would use. And this morning, if you have to use that road and there is this big disaster right in the middle of the road, you would have to wait. Because all the other routes, before about 10, 20 years ago, there was the rail line which was going all the way from Takoradi up to Kumasi, which is now almost non-existent. And so the only available route is that major route. It's a very, very busy one, Ben.
And I was, posing that question on the back of Regulation 105, which says that a person who transports explosives by road shall convey the explosives by the most direct route and by the quickest and safest means. So at least I think we can tick that box or check that box when it comes to the route that had to be used, because they were going to use that route anyway. But what do you foresee, looking at the hubbub of activity in that area, and now what has happened? What do you see? What do you expect to see being the socioeconomic consequences of this disastrous event, Justice?
I think the consequences are going to be dire, and I say this mainly for the traders. I suspect the mining companies who also use this route mainly for activities like what was being used for this car was being used for a day yesterday would obviously have alternative arrangements, how they are traveling from Bogoso, from Takwa, from Pristia, and heading up to Kumasi. Many of them traveling with food, plantain, cassava, fish, coming for all the way from Takrady and heading up to Kumasi for major markets to sell. I imagine they would have to wait. Many of these goods that are perishable, traders who have spent huge amounts of money buying these stuffs and heading up to the market are going to lose huge amounts of money. And my concerns are whether, as part of all of this, what is happening now, we would be considering people who are in this bracket and what they are going to be losing within the days when we bring this major disaster under control.
Justice, thank you so much for bringing us that perspective to the conversation, and we're grateful that you actually could paint that picture for us. But moving from there, we'd like to get to the very core of this issue, because we must know what has happened and what the way forward ought to be. We're joined now by our Western Regional correspondent in Natalia Kwanza, who will be telling us more about the situation. One thing I found worrying, and this was put up on social media, I would be finding out from her. One Kwabena Bismarck Vondi put up something to the effect that the Takwa Municipal Hospital needed blood to help the survivors of the Bogoso explosion, and individuals who wanted to donate were being called upon to do so. We'll find out whether the hospital is getting overwhelmed and what the latest is. And Natalia, if you can hear me, good morning to you.
Good morning, Ben.
A pleasure having you. So walk us through the entire incident. Yes, we've spoken about it and all, but what do you know that you can share with us, the genesis of the situation and where we are currently? Paint a picture for us. Do we have Natalia? All right, so we'll reconnect with Natalia Kwanza, who will be bringing us updates on that situation. But as you can see in your shot, the disaster following the explosion of that truck, community has been literally razed to the ground. Just a few buildings still standing erect. Even then, we've been told that the rumble, the shake. Look at that. You can see in your shot another building that has just been torn apart, torn to shreds on the back of that explosion. Natalia, if you can hear me.
Hi, Ben.
Right. So I was asking, give us a bird's eye view of the entire story from yesterday when this happened till now. What can you tell us about the situation?
Okay, so but gathering from residents who were in the community when the incident happened, they say that they saw this car coming with explosives, they say, and then all of a sudden a motorbike veered under it, and then there was a sparkle, and then the whole thing started burning, some instantly, and for some of them it started exploding, and so every house there is burnt. They've lost everything. There is nothing. They tell me that when I go to the community now, it's a ghost community. There is not even a single building, because most of the buildings there are muddy houses over there. But here, where you see me standing, is the St. Michael Parish Church here in Bogo. So according to this is the place.
Well, the connection to Natalia not doing us any favors this morning, but she was just mentioning a short while ago that, in fact, you could say Apeatse has become a bit of a ghost town. Yesterday, vibrant town, and all of a sudden, on the back of that explosion, the buildings and everything literally gone. Natalia, if you can hear me, please go ahead.
Yes, so that right now, the displaced victim have been brought to the book of St. Michael Parish.
Well, still some challenges in there. We'll work on the connectivity issues and try to get back to Inathalia Kwanzaa, who was just breaking down what had happened between yesterday when this incident happened till now. And one thing we'd like to reiterate, yesterday, and we're talking about it in the course of the news review, all of those you saw in that video we put up earlier who were approaching this tanker, this truck that had exploded, had, well, lost their lives. Sad incident. But Ina, take it up from where you left off.
Yes, Ben. So I'm here to speak to some of the residents who were there. They saw what really happened. With me here is Mamiesi. So she will tell us exactly what happened. Mamiesi, Neda.
Still losing Inathalia. Ina, are you back? Okay, so we'll try to get Inathalia back, but in the meantime, we know that Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, together with the IGP, the community, those affected, and take a good look at what exactly has happened. So Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, together with IGP Dr. Kufu Dampare, will soon be touching down on Apeatse in the Western region. As we wait to reconnect with our correspondent Inathalia Kwanzaa, we'll also be having an interaction with the Western Regional Minister, and we'll be finding out, for example, what are the plans of the RECSEC today, now that we know the Vice President and the IGP are going to meet the Regional Security Council. What are they going to do? When are they meeting? What are going to be the dynamics? And moving forward, what can we expect in terms of further regulation to avert a similar incident in future? We'll bring you details of all of that, but right now in your shot, you can see right there drone footage of what happened as of yesterday, and the community thrown into a state of sheer panic. Sheer panic. Buildings razed to the ground, and like Inathalia Kwanzaa was sharing a short while ago, a lot of the houses, they're mud houses, not so strong. So you can imagine the impacts that this explosion would have had on the community. Many people have lost their lives, and today we count our losses, but I believe it's also an opportunity for us all to learn as that specific community and as a people in general. We don't want to see such incidents that claim lives, maim so many. Inathalia, I know you're on phone with us now, so I guess the connection would be much better. So let's just go back. You've spoken about the St. Michael Hospital. Let's take it from there. What more can you tell us about the latest in terms of this explosion? Hello, Ina.
Hello, Ben.
Yes. So you at the time you left off, you were talking about the St. Michael Hospital. You can take it from there.
Yes. So the network here is very bad. But as I was saying, and I have with me Mamiesi. She happens to be a resident of Apeatse, and she was there when this whole incident happened. Right. So we will speak to her, and then I would translate whatever she's saying.
Sure.
Mamiesi,
Abi kerasha ko yedu onu na car bisu pen over so that now see motor no ne tank no pai be bia petrol no o pai the car no du kwana na dan fast ti emu na enwu de janala ba na ye jem ka hon ko me shifom na me ba no me ku wona me ko je ni gwane na me so me ma na ya story na ye die muta na ye pe baby fast if ye do baby na blast when ma wana wewu yenya no ma wewu from a wewu ya traga na for one point and akam ya bobo na webusiafo wo henfa yenya e obi ane dana wa wodan ba hia wa wodan bebu yenya e wodi yana be go wan so a me ma no so watafa na pitineta wo ba ha no abesi da membri one assistant to them. Oh yeah, wana nyama na wadi brain by demand afina bia wadi pipa. I'm just answering that hospital, government hospital.
And so you heard Mamiesi, she's a resident. She's narrating to us what happened yesterday. She said they had the motor tanker bust, and then just a few minutes after the motor tanker had busted, this car which was carrying the explosive passed there, and then apparently it started igniting fire. And she says that all their buildings are gone. There is nothing left for her. She said her sister is currently at the Sapa government hospital. She was injured on the leg, but she hears that she's okay now. But let me paint a picture of what is happening right now. What is happening right now is there is someone who was brought in here watching, and then these displaced victims have formed a long queue and taking them. Whilst I was here, I saw some residents also in Bogoso also bring in cocoa, oats, and other breakfast for the displaced victims here. I can come out to stand. Ghana must go back full of clothing, which they are coming to use to support the victims here. Then let's also speak to Mr. Kwame Mensah. I sent his video. You can see he has a bandage on his head, and then there is a plaster on his nose. He happens to have suffered some injury. So let's speak to him and find out what really happened yesterday. Mensah, yesterday you think the Neda about some of the war Apeatse.
Neda the Apeatse after Yantemu Apeatse no. Kaza wamade a mines for in Yamano economy in a moto Uhura or Pa Ija. It's no monoana. Eja na obi antum ko ho ya fi na wa ye du me bobo ana obrase no so de toni na sewe the doma ewu ha na ya tum na na ogbo me na mdafo tibra ya me ma adom wo so mu ma damba ho bo so mu ma o damba ho me ba no doma mbotu ha wo wu ana ya damba dene da de ya ntasa papa wa pe ti ba ya going, you know, and tell as a papa. The one yesterday, Baba boy.
No, over doctor for a just schedule and our nezo baba.
Doctor for no kind of Munko fee. And to Munko Zuna, I saw your phone say, what a baby, who got so woman. I am a hand, Yamra, the gaming car, my bike. Maybe I'm in the here, I'm the bike. All
right, Ben. You had Mr. Mensah also there. Literally, he was also explaining how he was in his house, but the explosion got to him in his house.
Right. So I'd like to find out, I mean, from the reports we're getting, the Daily Graphic reports saying, some people posted on social media as well, in terms of the hospital facilities in the area, Takwa, and now you mentioned St. Michael. I hear they were overwhelmed in terms of the numbers of those injured, and they were asking for blood donations. Are you aware of this, and do you know whether the situation is any better in terms of the people's response?
Mr. Mensah of this, and he said at the Bogoso government hospital where he was sent, he didn't hear something like that. But just like we all know, there were some victims were sent to different places. So we will go there and then find out if really that is the case. At the moment, we are heading to Apeatse where the incident happened to go and have a first-hand information on how the community really looks like, because these are words from the victim saying that the whole community is now a ghost town. So we want to go and find out ourselves.
Right. You also happen to be where some of the survivors are, some of those who got injured. What is the current state? What can you report on the back of that?
Yes, so just like I said, there is an ambulance here. They told me that it was brought here yesterday. And so there is a 24-hour surveillance of anyone who feels that he feels pains or the injury is severe. So this morning I've seen the ambulance service people are sent to most of the victims who had complained of either some pain here or there.
Right. And in terms of the numbers, as of late yesterday, the estimation was that we had 17 people who had lost their lives, 59 who were severely injured or injured to some extent. Has that changed? Do you have any further information on that?
No, Ben.
Right. Well, Natalia, thank you so much, and we'll stay with you later as you bring us updates on the situation. Natalia Kwanza, all the way from the western region, Apeatse, around the Bogoso municipality, bringing us the scoop in terms of what has been transpiring there. But around noon yesterday, this grave incident happened that, as we can confirm for now, until we get further details, has claimed 17 lives, has left 59 people injured, maimed, and we are going to see how this situation unfolds. The Chirano Mine, Maxim Ghana Limited, we're going to be hearing from the Western Regional Minister as well to know what exactly the way forward is. Let's also not forget, as we intimated earlier, Vice President of the land, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, will be touching down together with the IGP, Dr. Ekofu Dampare, both of them in Apeatse shortly. We'll wait to see what we can share with you on the back of that development. And we'll be having our interactions shortly as we speak to major stakeholders on the latest So let's continue as we delve into this story that has taken not just Ghana, but the world by storm. Reuters, BBC, all of them reporting it, the sad incident in Apeatse. We're joined right now by Kwabena Owusu Amprachum, Head of Communications at the Chirano Mines. Mr. Amprachum, thank you for joining the conversation.
Thank you very much.
Can you hear me, Mr. Amprachum?
Yes, I can hear you clearly. Can you hear me?
Right. And I know on the back of what has happened, I can tell from your voice that you're very sad at the development. How did it hit you, even before we get into what you can share? How did it strike you when you heard of this incident? When did you hear of it?
Well, we heard of it pretty soon after it happened. And so it was really shocking, and it is still very shocking. Like you said, we are still yet to come to terms with the scale of what has happened. It's a very huge tragedy, and we took it with a lot of grief. We are in mourning. We are also praying for the healing of those who are affected. Yes, so it's been very hard on us.
Right. We cited a release from your establishment on the back of this happening. So you can confirm that these explosives were headed for your outfit, the Chirano Mines.
Just let me just clarify over here. I believe it is right that first of all we commiserate with the people affected. So I'll just extend our deepest condolences and our thoughts with the families that have lost loved ones, and also we pray for the speedy recovery of the victims, together with various regulators and various state agencies who provide all the support to make sure that we provide relief and the needed things for people to recover. Also, just a bit of clarity. This was a product from one of our contractors who was conveying things to site. And unfortunately, this incident happened. So as at the time it happened, we did not have jurisdiction over the product. And we have.
So when you say one of your contractors, you mean Maxam Ghana Limited?
Yes, exactly. And that notwithstanding, the focus for us is relief efforts to make sure that the community that has been raised, they are giving the needed relief. We are assisting with the company, which is Maxam, to do what is necessary, and also cooperating with all the various agencies and giving the support necessary to make sure that there's relief for everybody. Yes, so even though we do not have direct jurisdiction over it, and we want to focus on the relief effort. We want to focus on getting things done for the people who are on the ground, who are currently suffering, and that is our priority now. We are not so much focused on taking ourselves from it, even though we are not directly involved. It is the people that is our focus right now, and we are in mourning, just as I told you. It is very hard hitting on us, and it's really unfortunate.
Okay, Kwabena, so yes, I get it. In law, we can talk of vicarious liability or responsibility, but the way your statement puts it, and what you are talking about this morning. So you say, and just to quote what it says, a truck under the supervision of and belonging to mining services contractor Maxam was involved in a collision causing an explosion near the town of Bogosu. So you make it clear that it was under the supervision of and belonging to Maxam. The vehicle was headed to Chirano and approximately 140 kilometers away from the site during the incident. But tell me, I just wanted clarity. Was it headed for your mines? So they had been contracted by you, and these explosives were destined for the Chirano Mines. That's what I want clarity on.
Yes, it was a truck that was headed to the mines. Yes, it was coming here. Yes.
Okay, right. So what sort of interaction, collaboration do you have with Maxam Ghana Limited when it comes to the conveying or conveyance of these explosives to your mines? Just walk us through what the process is, what the regulations are, if you can.
For the regulations, we are the mining industry, okay? So we are only I am only able to give you what we do when it comes to site. So when it comes to site, we have various protocols on the kind of vehicle it has to be in, on how we transport it, and even where we store it. There are various protocols on temperatures and even the kind of building you need to house it. But when it comes to transporting it from the supplier to us, the supplier has the obligation to follow the regulations set out by the industry players. And for those regulations, it is up to them to follow it. And as of now, obviously, the investigations will deal with the various ones that were followed. But they will be in the best position, Maxam will be in the best position to tell us exactly how they are supposed to hold it, since that falls in their jurisdiction. We can only tell you what happens when it comes here. And when it comes here, we have temperatures, we have kind of structures, we have kind of transportation, and we have kind of even the education we give to the people in the catchment area to let them understand the kind of goods that are being carried, what they should do in terms of an accident. And so for here, we have covered all of that. What happens outside that jurisdiction, Maxam will be the best company to give us that information.
Of course, but if you look at the regulations bordering what you do, of course, the collaborations, because Maxam is working in effect for you, and Maxam is a global outfit. I mean, they are known globally for this bit. So it would have been interesting to know what sort of collaborations you have with them in terms of safety, because like you mentioned, the vehicle was going through communities, and here we have it with Apeatse affected today with this very bad explosion and so many people losing their lives, 17 of them thus far. I don't know what, I mean, your take is on that.
As an industry player, obviously there are very stringent audits that we conduct in their services. And when you come to the site where it is stored, there are different audits and very stringent measures, even on how they will bring the things to our site. And so these are things that are done regularly by industry players as well as ourselves. Maxim does not supply to only us, they supply to even quarries. And all of us, we make sure that we have laid down protocols. If we work with you, we have protocols that you have to follow. And these are underpinned by state regulations. And so I believe it is investigations and the police report, as well as the Minerals Commission report and others, that will bring out exactly what happened and what they were supposed to follow.
Right. Let's talk quality control. And I understand Maxim is an outfit on its own, and Chirano Mines, you are also an outfit on your own. But there was an incident in 2017 which even necessitated the Interior Minister to intervene and all of that in terms of the processes that Maxim, was following. They were remedied. So October, these issues came up. October 2017, December 2017, the issues had been tackled. Has your outfit ever bothered, as you've had Maxim convey these explosives to you and all that? Have you ever had cause to check on their quality control measures? Have you had any interactions ever on some of those matters since we try to avert disasters like we saw yesterday? Have there been any such interactions?
Most certainly, most certainly. Both on site and outside site, there are rigorous interactions and rigorous audits, just as I said. And for us, every regulation has to be followed by the letter. And there's been various interactions with Maxim to make sure that they rectify the situations. And I believe that the state agencies raised the issue, and if they have not done anything by it, looking at how stringent the Minerals Commission is on making sure that regulations are followed, I believe they would not be able to operate by now. Yes, we did our part very well, and that is why we, even on the mines, if you realize, not only Chirano Mines, but on other mines, because of the regular interactions to make sure that things are followed, you hardly hear of such blast. But then they also, like you said, have a duty of care to make sure that beyond what we interact with them, beyond the various audits, they also go according to what they are supposed to do. That notwithstanding, I believe that we should not preempt any conclusions over here. The police will do their investigations, like I said, and at the end of the day, we'll be able to ascertain whether there were some breaches that are in line with probably what you're talking about in 2017. And I believe it's only the investigations that will be able to conclude on that. For us over here right now, we are focusing on getting relief for the people, making sure that the people are well taken care of. And beyond that, we also look at what we can do as a mine and also as an industry to prevent such things in the future. That is very paramount to us right now.
If you look at the minerals and mining regulations, there are quite a number of rules or regulations that entities like Maxim ought to be following, from the speed limit, 60 kilometers, to police accompaniment, to certification, to most direct routes and all of that. What has Maxim shared with you so far? And I want to believe they've interacted with your outfit. What have they shared with you so far in terms of what specifically went wrong? What can you share with us in that respect?
Currently, we are still in meetings with them. We are still in talking to them. We are conducting our investigations as well. And I would say it is quite early for us to be able to come up with any information on that. But of course, we are open to interaction. And as and when we have such information, we have concluded on them, and we believe that this is actually what happened. We'll put it out. But then when you come to the account of what actually happened,
Okay, so I just wanted clarity. Pardon my coming in here. But are you suggesting that since this happened at around noon yesterday, you've not been debriefed, you've not had any breakdown from Maxim Ghana Limited in terms of what exactly happened, what they suspect could have been problematic in the chain of transporting these explosives, and what could have caused it? Yes, we know about the tricycle or the motorbike, encounter. But are you saying you've not got a proper briefing on what happened and why the explosion happened for Maxim? Is that what you're saying up to this point?
No, that is not what I am saying at all.
Right.
What I am saying is, since the incident happened, we've been briefed and we've already started internal investigations, and we have all the details. But as you will agree with me, we are working on that information, and at the right time, we'll come out with what we believe. For now, we will not be able to divulge that information. The information that we can put out there is what the police has put out there. For our internal investigations and our dealings with Maxim, I believe that we cannot put it out right now for, of course, other corporate responsibility reasons. But then it will not be right that we haven't been talking with them. As we speak right now, we are still engaging with Maxim. We are still engaging with all the other regulatory authorities to make sure that things are settled. So yes, we are in talks with them, and we will brief the media and other stakeholders on the information that will come out later.
Will this impact the use of Maxim services in any way?
I'll not be able to give an answer to that right now. I think it is too early for us to draw such conclusions. It will be based on our own investigations as well as other investigations and other proceedings.
So let me rephrase the question. And just to be fair, there's nothing to prove so far that Maxim was in the wrong in any way. That's not what I'm suggesting. But should there be any conclusion to that effect, would that impact your relationship with Maxim?
I will not be able to give you any conclusive answer to that. But okay. Obviously, there will be recommendations. Maxim is registered in the mining industry. They work with the Minerals Commission. The Minerals Commission will definitely come out with recommendations and findings. And we believe, as the regulators, they have our best interests. So if they come out with recommendations to that effect, of course, we'll look and then we'll be obliged to follow those things. But as of now, I think it would be preemptive to give any conclusions on what we can do or what we will do based on what has happened. My
final bit to you, Mr. Ampratchum. So what are you going to do in terms of victims of this incident? What's going to be the contribution of Chirano Mines?
Yes, Chirano Mines, and you understand that the National Disaster Management Organization, they are best positioned to deal with this disaster. So we are going to support them. And of course, processes have already begun to support them with relief items and other things that they need to be able to take care of the injured and also to be able to handle the deceased and console the families of the deceased. And there's a full support from our outfit to all the agencies that are dealing with it to make sure that the people that are involved are amicably well taken care of.
Mr. Ampratchum, thank you so much for joining the conversation. Kwabena Owusu Ampratchum, Head of Communications with the Chirano Mines. We'll keep on this beat as we bring you further details about that development from the site, from the hospitals involved, and from eyewitnesses as well. As and when we can bring you more information on the Vice President and the IGP as well, who are touching down there in a bit, we'll bring that to you. We take a break, we'll be back.